she'll come home to you. Rest like the soft light of Mercury. Rest like your hunger is the victory. It's a long and laughing day. It's a long and laughing day. I'll wait for you to come home. Playing deep within your eyes. Sleeping deep, it feels so real. Feels so real. to gray. I'm not enough. I'm not enough for you. I'm not enough. Hungry hearts, full hungry hands, grab the earth, take her life, chain her life. Can you stay within as if you stand alone as I stand alone? Can you love me so? There wasn't enough for you. There wasn't enough. Move forward.
Buonasera a tutti, benvenuti a Pesaro 24, benvenuti al Teatro Rossini. È una grande serata che vedrà la presenza di due grandi artisti, di una grande artista soprattutto, Marina Abramović e Todd Eckert. Io mi chiamo Marcello Smarrelli, sono uno storico dell'arte, sono direttore di Pesaro Musei e ho avuto la fortuna di conoscere Marina Abramović quando ha vissuto a Roma dal 97 al 2002 e ho avuto modo di incontrarla in situazioni, come dire, informali e fare esperienza del suo carisma e anche del suo magnetismo insieme a quella parte più divertente e ironica che lei definisce il suo senso dell'umorismo slavo. Uno degli obiettivi principali del programma di eventi legati all'arte di Pesaro 24 è proprio quello di approfondire una cosa fondamentale in questi tempi e che anima un po' il dibattito critico sull'arte contemporanea, cioè il rapporto tra l'arte e le nuove tecnologie. Quello che ci chiediamo sempre è: le nuove tecnologie possono diventare materia per un'opera d'arte? E soprattutto sono destinate a rimanere solo un elemento, un supporto della tecnica, no? Vi ricordate quando gli impressionisti inventano il colore in tubetto, no? È una grande rivoluzione tecnica che però alla fine rivoluziona la pittura del XIX secolo. Quindi vogliamo capire se veramente le nuove tecnologie possono essere qualcosa che cambia la realtà dell'opera d'arte e vogliamo anche capire se le nuove tecnologie possono diventare quello che noi chiamiamo una fonte iconografica, no? Come è stata la Bibbia, come sono state le Metamorfosi di Ovidio, come sono per esempio i libri di fantascienza di Philip Dick. Quindi sono domande fondamentali per noi storici dell'arte, no? Perché vogliamo capire se queste nuove tecnologie non sono soltanto, come dire, un momento di moda passeggero, ma se invece avranno veramente la capacità e la forza di trasformare il linguaggio artistico. Marina Abramović, lo sappiamo tutti, è una delle più grandi artisti viventi ed è eccezionale il fatto che oggi possiamo ancora toccare con mano, vedere una persona che ha creato un modo di fare arte, no? Quindi che è l'arte performativa di cui lei effettivamente è la più grande rappresentante e forse è stata appunto l'antesignana nel mondo. Mentre Todd Eckert è fondatore e presidente di un collettivo di artisti che si chiama Team Drum, che è composto da ingegneri, designer, technology, ed è il primo studio al mondo a produrre contenuti per dispositivi di realtà mista. Lavora esclusivamente con la realtà aumentata e indossabile, che è detta appunto mixed reality. Marina e Todd sono eccezionalmente presenti questa sera qui a Pesaro sul palco, questo glorioso palco del Teatro Rossini, per un dialogo che si prospetta come un atto performativo, perché non poteva essere altro con una figura come lei, e con quelle modalità con cui Marina Abramović ci ha abituati in questi anni. Ecco, direi che la sua è una presenza presente, no? Anche se è un ossimoro, uno scambio di pura energia che va oltre la parola ed è l'incontro con una macchina di Nikola Tesla che genera energia e la riceve, perché lei ama definirsi proprio così, come una macchina di Nikola Tesla. Del resto siamo nelle Marche, le Marche lo sappiamo, è una terra di grandi visionari e uno dei più grandi è stato proprio Gino De Dominicis che scrisse: un'opera una volta terminata mi deve sorprendere e rimandarmi più energie di quante ne ho impiegate per realizzarla. E Marina Abramović nella sua autobiografia Attraversare i muri riprende una dichiarazione di Bruce Nauman molto importante, la fa diventare un suo assunto incredibile, straordinario, che è proprio quello in cui Bruce Nauman dice: l'arte è una questione di vita o di morte. E questo è veramente il tema che Marina Abramović ha trattato nell'opera che possiamo vedere al Centro Arti Visive Pescherie The Life, appunto con la realizzata da Team Drum, con la regia di Todd Eckert. Ma veniamo agli argomenti che verranno trattati questa sera e quelli per cui voi siete qui, che, come dire, ci hanno regalato la vostra presenza. Parleremo di cose che sono legate naturalmente al lavoro di Marina e di Todd, ma che ovviamente coincidono anche con i temi fondamentali di Pesaro 24, quindi il rapporto tra arte, natura e tecnologia. Quindi vi faccio un breve elenco delle cose di cui discuteranno Marina e Todd. Allora abbiamo argomenti come la performance e il corpo, la tecnologia è ottima, la tecnologia è terribile, arte del passato, arte del presente, arte del futuro, il ruolo dell'arte nel caos, umore, sesso e vergogna. E cosa resta quando l'artista se ne va? Dopo questa conversazione, Marina e Todd risponderanno a alcune delle decine di domande che sono arrivate in questi giorni da voi, dal pubblico. Speriamo che anche tra di voi ci siano persone che hanno inviato domande a cui Marina e Todd risponderanno. E a questo punto credo sia arrivato il momento che aspettiamo ed emozionante di invitare Marina Abramović e Todd Eckert sul Teatro del Rossini. Benvenuti. Benvenuti, benvenuti. Vi lascio al talk The Future of the Performance e vi chiedo di mettervi in quella disposizione d'ascolto che è una disposizione in cui ascoltiamo con il corpo, con i corpi e con le energie di tutti noi insieme a quelle di Marina. Grazie, grazie e buon talk.
Io sono venuta ieri e prima è fatta una piccola cena intimissima con solo 70 persone e dopo mi ha detto una piccola come si chiama, conferenza di stampa, solo 100 persone. Adesso una piccola lezione, solo 1000 persone. Wow, thank you for coming.
We'll see if this translation idea that they had actually works. So Marina and I have never done this before. We put this piece together. We shot it in 2018. We had the idea in 2018, and we shot it in 2019 and exhibited that early that year. And we've talked about it with the press, with different writers around the world, but we've never spoken to you. We've never spoken to an audience about it. And we questioned whether we should even show the work again, because there were many shows, New York and Asia, that didn't happen because of COVID. And we were given the invitation by the wonderful people of Pesaro, and decided, because of Marina's relationship with Italy, with you, that it made sense to see whether this show, this strange thing that nobody had ever done before, the life, was worth an audience watching again. So this talk is a direct result of that, and we're very, very glad to be doing it for the very first time.
So, when we say the future performance, if I just thinking about past, when I start working in the early 70s, there was not even performance existing, and absolutely future was not even the question. They will actually ever survive this form of art. And now, looking back, it's 55 years later, and there we are. We are speaking about the future. So, that's really kind of big theme. And we make this whole lecture in some kind of funny way. We concentrate very much on your questions that we like to answer, and some, the ideas that we have around this whole topic. So, now how we start this, how this works.
Well, we have to see if the translation works. Ah, you see, now the clicker works too.
Performance and the body. So, as you see here, we didn't, I think, Todd, you're going to deal with this, please. So, when you say performance and the body, we didn't really put, intentionally, we didn't say performance art. We didn't say body art. We only say performance. But performance can be many things. Can be music, can be theater, can be cinema, can be, and also performance art as a visual art. So I'm always standing for the performance as a, the unique form of art, which is completely immaterial, and the public and presence of public is so important. So to me, to do something which is really dealing with mixed reality and to deal with technology is all new journey into unknown. But we will talk about this later.
So, we start off with a picture of a dancer, the human form. And we brought this up to begin with because performance at one time could not be recorded in any way. In fact, in this theater, in the early days, there was no other way to see a professional performance except to come to a place like this. So there was no such thing as recording. If you had heard some of what Verdi or Rossini did, it was because you were in a place like this. And so that meant that the audience had a very specific relationship with the human form. And that was in perhaps something narrative, a theatrical performance, a play. Perhaps that was in dance, a ballet. But the relationship with the body, and the body in an expression of art, trying to give meaning to this thing called life, was very much in something like this. This is kind of where it all starts.
Wait, can we go back?
Sure.
to this part. I just want to say it was so interesting also with the performance art. In early 70s, nobody had money to even buy Super 8 or 8 or even 60 millimeter camera was out of question. So we just had the photographers, and that was mostly the friends. And the friend would come to photograph performance, and we was in very early stage of documentation. So we really didn't know how to actually instruct the photographer what to do. So the photographer will come, and then he will take photographs maybe for 10 minutes, and then he will go out and smoke cigarette, and then we come back, and then we photograph something on the left, and we'll miss everything was happening on the right. And then, so there will be actually his own vision of what is going on. So that we never really had the proper documentation of what was really happening, because it was never the real time recorded. Okay.
We can move on from the dancer, yes? So we go straight to Bowie. Now you think, what does Bowie actually have to do with all of this? And Bowie is one of the main reasons that I decided to work in this field that nobody entirely understands, full-dimensional film or mixed reality. So I don't know if any of you here ever saw David Bowie live, but it was a very specific relationship that he had with the audience. And I chose this photograph mostly because if you look at his fingers, they are both in command of the microphone, but it's on the tips. And that was his relationship with the audience. It was both tender and absolutely in control. The problem is, if you see any two-dimensional film, everything from the Ziggy Stardust to something shot in Madison Square Garden, anything that's flat, you actually don't have any sense of what it felt like to see Bowie. And there's a lot of artists like that. Prince was like that. And so once I saw that this different kind of technology existed, one that was not mediated by a flat plane, I thought, this is actually a way that we could possibly bring ourselves closer to the truth of performance, because that's the whole point. That's why any of us do any of this. It's to create something of authenticity and truth between the artist and the audience. And so Bowie is directly responsible for us being here.
No, don't go yet. Okay, so. So then photographers was cheaper, but then within a video, and then in around the 70s, late 70s, the video camera was available. And then, finally we could record performance properly. So camera and it was all performances at that time 1 hour, because video cassette was 1 hour, and we just had that particular means to do it. And I remember the very, very beginning, I had the one possibility for the first time to record the video in Denmark. It was the piece I made, Art Must Be Beautiful, Art Must Be Beautiful. I didn't give any instruction to the video recorder, because I didn't know how to do it. And I was doing performance and he was recording. After performance, I wanted to see the material, and I was horrified. It was the most painful shit I ever saw in my life, because he was actually experimenting with the camera. I was doing something with my head, he was recording my feet. Then he was using solarization, then cutting in, cutting out, left and right, and this was the absolutely material, absolutely nothing to do with actually my idea. So I look at him, audience left, and I say, what is the button to delete? And he showed me, and I just press button and delete all the material. And I said to him, okay, now put the camera on the stage, and I will do exactly the performance I just did, but the camera is going to be my audience. And I will look into the camera, and all that you do is to press on my face the button play, and please go out and smoke the cigarette. And he did. He went to smoke the cigarette, I recorded the whole thing, and this was how my first video was born. And then I realized the only way to actually film is to have precise instruction, and the camera have to be really one-to-one performance, real time, only work with the video and performance art. Okay, next. There is a sound of the heart beating. I don't hear it. We both had microphones on our heart as the tension between us was growing, and the arrow can actually go into my heart. The sound of the heart was stronger and stronger and stronger. And this camera is static, and it's exactly performance real time. This was one of the shortest performances I made with Ulay, and it was 4 minutes and, 10 seconds. And we just show you part of it. And this was, in my mind, lifelong. Okay, we can stop.
So when we were doing the check of all of the systems this afternoon, this meant that things broke. There's the sound, so you can hear what it sounded like.
Sorry. One more time, better sound.
Or some sound.
It was very important, the click. So on. Okay, so you got the idea. All right, can we get next? So I wanted to show another way how to record performance. So this is a completely young generation of artists and young public who come to see the work, and they actually tattoo that image on their body. This is the one way, next one. On the shoulder, on the legs, on the arms. And this is to me incredible, fascinating. The possibility that something that you experience and you get emotionally involved, wanted to actually have a trace on that, but not just in the memory, but also on your own physical body, and to actually live with this for a long time. Tattoo stays very, very long time in your body. And there was another one, which actually deals with different work. The middle one is Art Must Be Beautiful. Then we have the one with the relation in time, which we made live performance in Bologna, actually. And this was 16 hours with the hair attached to each other. And then we have Artist is Present, and the person just tattoo left and right chair on his hands without actually anybody sitting on it. And I'm fascinated about this new dimension of how to actually keep memory of something is so immaterial. And it's completely different. It's more direct, it's more intimate. And I don't have any tattoo on my own body, but I am really incredibly touched that actually my audience made this effort to keep me alive in this way.
I think the chairs are my favorite.
It's the most minimal.
So, technology is fantastic. So you would think that somebody working in technology, this would be pretty obvious, right? I would immediately say that technology is this wonderful thing. But let's think about it. What's actually fantastic about it? You actually chose this.
I love this phone. I actually choose from internet, but I didn't realize it's a funeral home. So actually, every time you phone, somebody die. But this was not my intention. I just was looking into more like object. All the bakelit phone. This was revolution, but it was attached to the house. You have to be at the house, and you have to make phone call. And then you leave the house, and you don't have any kind of possibility to make another phone call, except if you take the phone from the phone booths, which was available in the cities. But this was the beginning when technology was fantastic.
So this was an improvement over a world without phones. That's what you're saying.
Next. I made my own intervention into this. I create telepathy telephone. I made this piece in Japan, which I create something called Dream Hotel, which people come to dream the dreams. And this is the middle of nowhere. It's 3 hours from Tokyo, and really there's no any kind of internet working or anything. So I found this old bakelit telephone, and without any connection, and I just say, oh, that's perfect. Let's have telepathy telephone. You just pick up and make telepathy call. And telepathy is so much cheaper. You only need 4 hours to learn. No, 4 years to learn properly.
So we were very much in agreement about the idea that telescopes and reaching out to the world beyond our world was an excellent use of technology, because it's not necessarily the idea that you were doing it for a specific reason. It's the idea that you would be reaching out to know more, to expand that which you already understood. And Marina has a particular fascination with all there is in the universe to understand.
This is a telescope who penetrated deep space, black holes, universe, and I'm so fascinated. You know, I actually even proposed to the what's his name, Bronson, to the guy to go out to space. What's his name? The one I asked one ticket one way. Anyway, I asked actually. The one of these people who go into outer space, I asked if they can give me one ticket, only one way, and I can stay up there, just to understand what is behind the cosmos, what it's all about. And this is, to me, something that I'm always interested. When I was, you know, many years in the National History Museum, in the National Science in New York, there is a big kind of the laboratory, not laboratory, but how you call hub for the children. You go in and you lie on these beanbags and you look the sky, and then the old hub open, and then is the voice like George Clooney, or I don't know, Brad Pitt, and they, you know, there is a huge image of Milky Way, like a 3D in the front of you, and there's a tiny little laser to show you. And the voice comes and says, and this is a planet Earth. And this is tiny little blue spot, not in even Milky Way. It's some kind of periphery in Milky Way, somewhere in Puglia. It's like far away. Anyway, so not really in the center. And there we are, this beautiful little blue planet, which we are trashing like a crazy. But that's the whole idea, you know, to really have a big picture. Who are we? What are we doing on this planet? So to me, that's what technology really works.
But there's more.
Okay, so last year I almost died. I got sick. I got some kind of problem with the blocking of the how you call this?
An embolism. She had an embolism.
Embolism. Anyway, it was bad. And I was teaching Pina Bausch class in Essen in Germany. And there was a big show in the museum, and I was desperate how I can work. This is where I use technology. I actually have my assistant, Billy Zhao, who was carrying me around every day to teach in just my head, but actually worked.
They're going through the galleries in Germany, and this one on a little dolly.
So I was in the hospital in the same time, but where my head could be anywhere.
So this one, I don't know if all of you have seen The Life, but it's a somewhat smaller scale than this studio. This is called Crescent, and it's in almost exactly in the middle of Tokyo. And there's 48 cameras, and this is called volumetric capture, which sounds very clinical. And volumetric capture means that it is 48 cameras capturing the human form at 30 or 60 frames a second, and then taking a photograph from any angles of that form, and it just repeats it over and over and over again. And so as opposed to a flat screen, this is no screen at all. It's the entirety of the person. And so what you see here is in December of 2020, where I was the first American allowed on a plane to Japan. And I was directing the piece called Kagami, which will actually also be here at the end of August, with Ryuichi Sakamoto. And I'll tell you something that probably none of you know. Ryuichi had not told me that the doctors had, on this day, told him that the cancer was back in his body and that they were going to have to operate immediately, but he would almost surely die very soon. This wound up being the last complete performance that he ever did. And the technology, and it was incredibly hard to make it work, much harder than with Marina, because where she was alone without an instrument, this was fingers, which are tricky, and his incredible hair, which is even trickier, believe it or not, and all of this being blocked by a concert grand piano, which he really, really, really wanted to have in the studio. So I showed this because even though it was the hardest thing I've ever done, so far 30,000 people have seen what it was like to see Ryuichi perform. Not an artifact of an event that they weren't there to see, but in the same way that you feel like you're seeing Marina in the gallery here, you feel like you're seeing Ryuichi. The difference is he died 2 months before we opened. So for me, this is an example of technology at the highest level outside of saving somebody's life that I can imagine. But technology is terrible.
Terrible, 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 terrible.
Terrible. Now it's so obvious. Of course technology is terrible. I love this picture because let's look at what's actually going on here. So this is from the 50s.
And Americans,
Are you sure?
yes.
But, so everybody's smiling. Everybody seems to be having a really good time. They are absolutely engaged. But if you look at it, they're not engaged with each other at all. The various different generations are represented, but they're not learning from each other, feeling with each other. There's nothing of meaning there. They are focused on the little box right there. And that box has taken away the potential for discussion, for understanding, for warmth. So this, for me, would be the first step in technology having a difficult relationship with us.
I just want to say I was not so lucky in ex-Yugoslavia to have a television in that way that you actually even see something. Because in our country, when we arrived television, all morning till the evening, there was only test picture. And my brother and me would sit and look test picture, and I think this was our first introduction, maybe to meditation, but it was nothing. And then in the evening will come, some horrible German movies, about Auschwitz and whatever, Second World War. And then arrive by Peyton Place, arrive Dynasty, and then it's all wonderful American shit that we've been looking and thinking about great American life. Not anymore.
But so where did this lead us? The next step is this. Now, there's nobody in this room that can actually, myself included, Marina included, that can say, oh, we are above this elective isolation that is our relationship with the cell phone. We all do it. But it is that the fact that it's so pervasive, that it's ubiquitous, and that it's just an extension of what the family was doing from the 50s. The difference is this is portable and streaming. So you can take this absolutely anywhere. I'll bet you 100 euros somebody is in this room right now texting somebody. And that's fine, that's the way the world works. But we are willing, I guess, willing to fail because these devices are so powerful. But there's one sneaky little bit with technology that I think is sort of the next step, which is, of course, this. When you go from something being sort of cool and helpful to absolute absurdity. And this is what a lot of what we're doing. So this is not what we do. This is not mixed reality. This is virtual reality. So those people are in different worlds. And I bring this up not to laugh at them. I don't have any judgment for this at all, but to simply say that our relationship with any technology has got to be based upon our own values and our own sense of place, because the technology itself is insistent. It wants to be used all the time. And being in a room like this, I think, is probably far more compelling than being in a world like that. But technology is most difficult because it is contributing to the destruction of the planet. And you kind of alluded to this earlier, Marina. So we have established that technology is fantastic and technology is terrible. So we can move on from there.
I just want to say that there's nothing wrong with technology. What is wrong with technology is actually our addiction to technology, that we can't live without it anymore. But in the first place, technology was invented that the human being had more time. But we don't know what to do with this more time. We don't know what to do with ourselves. We don't know how to just sit in the corner and maybe look sunset or read the book or do anything else, but just looking into this object in our hands. It's the heartbreaking to see the kids in the restaurants. They don't even talk to each other. They're only texting. They don't even write in the text. They send emojis. And they will never actually pick up phone and make a real conversation or even see each other in real life. So that kind of, getting these emotions out, technology take our emotions out of being human. It's really, really dangerous. That's what I don't like technology.
So let's get back to art. And let's go somewhere where it's not necessarily performance and it's not necessarily graphic and it's not anything in particular. Let's go all the way back so that we can go all the way into the future.
So, cave paintings. It's very interesting that very recently it was discovered by the scientists that almost 95% of cave paintings was only made by women and not by men. And that means that the entire contemporary, not contemporary, the beginning of actually art started with the female energy, because man was busy hunting and doing whatever, having wars. But the women was with the children and doing art. And I can see that in this audience right now, we have much more female than the male. I don't know why, but just notice. And but look like from beginning of civilization, human being can't live without art. We need art. We need art like oxygen to breathe. We need art really to kind of develop our sense of aesthetic, of spirituality, and knowing who we are. So cave painting is really that I just want to show. You know, it's very strange, this lecture, because we put things together that normally I never used in the lecture before. And it was so interesting to how we can combine this kind of images with the technology. Okay, what's the next? I forgot.
Well, no, for something like this, though, I love the idea that it says, I am here. And then as art becomes more representational, more of the form, more sophisticated, it says this is what we are. Art of the past, this is the way to represent humanity.
And to me, the two next images are really something that I need to talk about. Next one is just Boccioni. You know, Boccioni for me is incredible. And not just the old futurist, the movement was interesting, but Boccioni was the artist who really understood how to show movement. You know, the sculptures are something static, especially made from heavy material like a marble, like a bronze, a cast iron. But this is in movement. That's really, to me, so much talk about performance, which is also in the movement. So this is the kind of frozen movement. And then the next one, this is about movement, and this is about spirit. This is just showing the spirit, immaterial. The dimensions don't exist, just pure spirit. So, you know, it's very objective point of view of what, you know, the past can look like. Of course, there's so much more.
So, a movie theater is, interestingly, something that we selected as art of the past, because the idea of people collecting, I think there will be cinemas for a long time, but the idea of going to a cinema specifically to see a film is something that's been diminishing for years, even before COVID. But so this idea of a crowd collecting to watch a film, we're suggesting is art of the past.
Future. That's what you think.
I think this is art of the future. Because if you look at street art, certainly there are people who become very, very famous, and this is right off Canal Street in New York. They become very, very famous as street artists, but this goes back to something that Marina said earlier today, which is that you can't want to be an artist. You are an artist, and you have to express yourself. And street art, no matter where it's from, whether New York or this is actually in Sao Paulo in Brazil, this is an expression of, okay, maybe I don't have money, maybe I don't have an education, but I have something to say, and I have to say it. There is no way not to say it. And the canvas is the bricks and mortar of the town where I live, and I must do it. And I believe that is the most elemental human expression of art there is, and that's why I think graffiti street art is not only art of the recent past, but also the continuing art of the future.
Is too material for my taste, graffiti. Because when somebody asked me, actually last century, 20th century, oh my God, this is already 21st. When somebody asked me last century, you know, what is the future of art? And I have that answer then, and I have the same answer today, that for me, the future of art is the art without any objects, the art which is immaterial and with a direct relation between the artist and the viewer, the exchange of the energy. And this is an incredibly important statement. It was so, kind of prediction, because this guy died in 1957, and he already said something important. He said the new type of art institute cannot merely be an art museum, as it has been until now, but no museum. Wow. Is the spirit of the theater complaining? Phantom of Opera. But it will be more like a power station, a producer of new energy. And that's so important. This is why performance art has so new life right now. Because, public, the structure of the museum is so old-fashioned. It's never been changed. You go to the museum, you have the guards to guard the objects, and you have to look at it and you leave. So you are never part of it. You're just a viewer. But art, the public right now, especially young generation public, want to be part of it, want to experience, want to have something to take off as their own experience to back home. And this is the different power of energy. So when you're dealing with long durational performances and you come to the museum and the show is 2 months and every month's performance is 8 hours, exactly the time of the museum from 10 to 6, and you never actually see leaving the person and never, the ending or beginning of the work. You just see always action happening forever. So that kind of energy, which is life energy, is so much stronger and it really changes you on a deep level and transformative way than just looking the painting on the wall. And if you come to see, one exhibition, you maybe go another time to see exhibition, but you're not going every day. But performance brings new public, because every day you're seeing something different and you're supporting that energy. So this is what I think, the future should look like.
So we decided to, we have different topics, and it's just what Marina and I were thinking about when we were putting this together. But the world is in an incredibly chaotic place right now. And we felt that the role of art in chaos was really worth discussing, because you think, okay, there are all these terrible things going on, why do we care about art? And so for us, the meaning is actually clear. So where do you start? The Picasso's Guernica, as an expression of the horrors of war, and it's very difficult, even that size, it's very difficult to understand the power of this piece until you stand in front of it. But at a time where people were not able to freely articulate their dissatisfaction with what the different factions were doing, this expressed with incredible clarity the horrors of war. And he painted it in only 3 weeks, and it's huge. So chaos is also something that's found in the way social systems work. So this is from King's Road in London in the late 70s. And if you weren't around then, if you weren't looking at what the punks were about in the late 70s, you would think that it was just a fashion statement. And the fashion was really, really important. But the fashion was thrown together. So basically what's going on here, I don't know how many of you have spent a lot of time in England or know about the music scene there. But music in England, particularly in the 70s and 80s, was life. And there were 3 different magazines that were dedicated every week to what was going on with music, what the bands were, and basically this is concurrent with the government and the economy just falling into complete near non-existence. So there were no jobs, there were not going to be any jobs. And so if you're a kid at this time and you literally have no future, then there's nothing to do but show your rebellion against the thing that means the most to you, which is music, which at that time was really, really bloated kind of prog rock, with something that was from kind of the gutter, and you threw it together however you could, but it was absolutely vital, and it was an expression of pure energy in the face of absolute desperation. And so this, for me, is one of the best examples of the role of art in chaos, because it said what you could not say in any other way. Public Enemy did the exact same thing when the racism in the United States was so profound, I mean, it still is, but at a time where if you were a black kid, being able to express your dissatisfaction with this world that was stacked against you, something you weren't supposed to do. Full disclosure, my first job was as a music journalist from the time I was 14 until I was in my 20s. And I interviewed thousands of musicians. And that guy there, Chuck D, was the single smartest one I ever talked to. But that's a different story.
Wait, can you go back, please? Back. Can you go back? Yeah. So, which I like to say about if I will make some kind of, pyramid in the world, talking about art, absolutely on the top of this pyramid for me will be music, and then performance, and then everything else. This is my subjective idea. But really, music has this incredible power, because music is so immaterial, and music really can go through your body with nothing in between. And really, the musicians have a huge responsibility to actually say something. And the one thing, the whole concept of idea of the art in chaos. Normally, like right now, we are having wars everywhere. I mean, this looks like right now we are really facing very dramatic moment of human history. But also, what is happening in the First World War, Second World War, and any other wars, artists always express what is happening around, the terror, the violence, the killing. But there is very few artists who don't do that, and I was always fascinated. How is possible that during entire Second World War, Matisse was only painting flowers, and that's it. So he was going for the beauty. And it's so difficult to actually create work, to lift human spirit, not to put your spirit down. It's too easy. So to me, this was another kind of inspiration, about my work, how we can lift human spirit in these days.
But it doesn't all have to be crazy serious.
Okay, this is something that I love. This is my favorite part. Humor, sex, and shame. First, it's interesting. Shame is the most difficult thing to actually deal with, to do shameful things in the front of public and actually deal with your shame with the other people's shame and expose that kind of vulnerable self. When you do that, it's amazing liberation, and also you connect with the public in much deeper level. But anyway, so humor, sex, and shame. Let's start with humor. So the Miriam, she is really a wonderful young artist in English. She made this very funny book. It's actually 2 examples, and is actually her kind of humoristic approach about my show in Royal Academy. But she called Royal Academy of the Yugoslav the Academy of Art as a kind of funny statement. And in reality, 255 years, never been woman in the big space in Royal Academy. I was the first one, last year. So the story of this book that actually the witch watched me and didn't give me possibility till I actually deal with witch to turn me into duck. And never mind, it's very funny. I just want to show you 2 pages of this book. Okay, now I have to read because I don't see well. Once upon a time, in the land of Yugoslavia, in the heart of the woods, there lived hard-working mother of many, many, many children called Marina. She lived in a humble cottage with no electricity or running water and a massive brutalist extension at the back. Brutalist extension.
New words, brutalized, cottage, and extension.
Okay. Marina ran the house with military precision. At ebb, she would descend from the ceiling naked with a snack around her neck. Good morning, children. I love you, but you are a disaster for my work. Children nodded in agreement. Every breakfast was a lesson. Anyway, and so on. It's hilarious. I didn't finish.
Oh, sorry.
So what is really important here is really important humor in your life, humor about yourself especially, that you're able to make fun of yourself. It's really releasing kind of great energy about that. And my whole life, my work is so serious, but in life I'm kind of hilarious. And I love telling dirty, politically not good jokes, which I can't share with you because of political correctness today.
So we were talking about humor, sex, and shame, and probably the best intersection of humor and sex, and a lot of it is kind of societal shame, comes from the drag community. So there used to be a bar in New York for decades called the Pyramid. When you guys were coming in, the Anoni and the Johnsons record was playing. When Anoni was Antony, she was kind of the master of ceremonies in the Pyramid. And it was sort of like drag vaudeville. It was a situation where these people, again, they were performing because they had to perform, but humor and sex and honesty was crucial to every single time that you went in there. And I think for us it was important to bring this up because people have a tendency of thinking of art, and they think of it as this very, very lofty thing, and it can be, but it's ultimately human, and that means it needs to have every single facet of the human experience.
Wait, please, wait. Anyway, so I made this work in 2011, but right now I'm busy with a new work called Balkan Erotic Epic, which I want to actually look into the pagan cultures from Albania, Bulgaria, Romania, my own Serbia, Montenegro, Turkey, Greek. Really, the cultures when we use sexual organs in order to understand universe, to understand, what is behind all this. And this is what really important to me to show you this piece. It's a song who is very sad and talking about the man who is lying in the grave, and the woman like to offer him his breast to touch, and he just say, I can't do that because my both hands are rotten. And you just, that's it, the end of the story. But I work with these women, and I took the youngest one, and the older one is 86. And there is some range. There is a looking maybe sexual because the breast, but at the same time is what we call pornography. We can't actually put this term into this work.
Я сам дорогий, вереница твоя, его прими, твоя глука моя. И на нима цвече, что сам брала, что сам с тобом провето сияла. Не могу ти узети я глуке, беле суми и струлеле руке. Кучи носи на кревети мети, кръст полюби, пасе мене сети.
So we want to get to questions because we had put out through the festival that we wanted you to ask us questions. But we'll go through this rather rapidly. So what is left when the artist is gone? If the life allows us a look at you, what are some other elements of ongoing relationships? The Andy Warhol is maybe obvious. I don't know if any of you know this, but Andy Warhol was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in the US. And he had a very, very religious upbringing. And there's one specific type of church and burial ground where he can be buried. And he wanted to be buried next to his mother, and so that's in Pittsburgh. There is a 24-hour live video feed of the grave. And this was something that Andy kind of presupposed. But after the artist is gone, there may still be fame, but you also have something like this. You have Marina.
Nothing to say. I'm still here. And this is, the me in future. When I don't exist anymore, the life piece will be so much more actually important document, because that will be only real document, which is not of the flat screen, but it's three-dimensional and is built from 36 cameras, video cameras, not from photographic material, and it's like every pore in my body is there, and I'm built out of electricity and out of light, and you can go through me, and you can look at me, and you can touch me, and I'm there and I'm not there, I'm material and I'm immaterial, and I'm there forever.
And it's extended through this weekend, so if you haven't seen it or want to see it again, now's your chance. This is something that Ryuichi, he wrote right before he died when I asked him to give his kind of statement about Kagami, and actually we should have translated it, so I'm going to read it so that will translate it. There is, in reality, a virtual me. This virtual me will not age and will continue to play the piano for years, decades, centuries. Will there be humans then? Will the squids that will conquer the earth after humanity listen to me? What will pianos be to them? What about music? Will there be empathy there? Empathy that spans hundreds of thousands of years. Ah, but the batteries won't last that long. And if you had known Ryuichi, you would know that thought process is very, very him.
And we would like to finish this presentation before we start answering the questions with the Piero Manzoni Artist's Breath. That's it. Thank you.
Marcello?
Eccoci qua. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Todd. And I'm just here, sono qui soltanto per rivolgervi le domande del pubblico, the question of the public. A lot of questions are arrived. And la prima che facciamo è: se la performance art consiste nella presenza dell'artista nello stesso luogo e momento del pubblico per creare la giusta energia tra i due, come può essere ancora possibile se il pubblico è consapevole che l'artista non è... in English? I can read in English. You can see. Great. That's it, fantastic. So, se la performance art consiste nella presenza dell'artista nello stesso luogo e momento del pubblico per creare la giusta energia tra i due, come può essere ancora possibile se il pubblico è consapevole che l'artista non è reale ma solo un oleogramma, non realmente presente? How you could be present if you are not present?
Do you want to start or do you want me to
No,
start?
can you start, please? I'm thinking.
So, for us, the idea was never to replace live performance. That's not the intention. That is a sacred relationship, and I want it to always be a sacred relationship. But the barrier of a flat screen is too restrictive. So our agency, that sense of determinism, is missing. So I wanted to find a way to take the humanity of our relationship with a performance and deepen it. And so while this is not the same as a performance with an audience, it is more than a performance on a flat screen.
It's actually very simple. Ryuichi is dead. So there's no any chance to see anything live of him. The only and the last recording you're going to see in August. So this is incredible, actually, privilege to be captured in that way and become immortal. In my case, I'm right here in the front of you, and I'm going to be around and perform probably till I die, which I plan to do 103. So you will see the live occasionally, to see possibility of the future. But when I'm not there, this work actually become the only thing you can have. So there is no actually any confusion.
Super. Thank you very much. Second question. Vorrei chiedere a Marina Abramović la sua opinione sull'arte realizzata dall'intelligenza artificiale.
Oh, this is not my answer. Please.
Please, Todd. It's not her subject, sorry.
AI is nothing but a tool. So AI is not scary, it's not brilliant, it's not anything. It has wonderful uses and wonderful limitations, and I don't have any interest in scraping the internet to make art, but I have no interest in anything beyond the purest expression of human endeavor possible. So AI is like nothing.
I'm not dismissing that easily. You know, it was the same situation with the video art, and nobody was thinking it was anything till Nam June Kai came and actually make art out of this. So I'm totally open to see good art made by the AAE, but I never saw it one. So we're waiting.
But that was Namjoon Paik making the art as opposed to his video camera.
Yeah, but who knows? Let's keep time. Time will say everything. I'm open.
So,
I'm not close.
super, wonderful. I like very much that question for you, Marina. Allora, tu per me sei stata in assoluto la grande guaritrice. That's not bad. Mi chiedevo se sei consapevole di quanto puoi stravolgere la vita delle persone, di quanto sei potente, se anche tu ricevi questa ricchezza dalle persone e se l'arte virtuale non toglie a te questo scambio umano.
Okay, I'm incredibly humble to actually really be aware that so many people being enriched and affected, and I'm giving emotions into their life. And I can see that in almost every day. I see, in Italy it's incredible. I will walk the street and a woman will give me the child just to hold. I don't have any healing properties, but I really feel that energy. I feel the energy, and I think that I can give good energy, and I also get from audience great energy too. It's a really proper exchange. So again, this is the question. You are here, and I'm here, and I can do this now, but one day I'm not here. So what is left? If you look history of art, documentation is left. Old books with the photographs, old books with the writings. Now we have video, now we have the photography. But the not virtual reality, but mixed reality, have possibility to actually keep life energy. And that's really unique. In all days, I remember my grandmother, old people don't like to be taken photographs because they say they take life energy, and they will, absolutely hate camera. And then if the old people could easily say by looking at the photographs who personal photograph is live and which person is dead, because they can actually feel the energy of the photograph if it's live or not. And the virtual reality, I don't understand, but the mixed reality, because of the way how it's done with the film cameras and keep that kind of energy. And that energy is there, and it is incredible. It's undeniable. For me, it's very difficult to look my own self in the life, because I'm looking really something that is not just normal video projection, not just normal photograph, not just normal, virtual reality thing. Something more, and that's you can feel by looking the work yourself. So it's not replacement. It's just different approach.
Next one. Ok, in un mondo dove tutto è in continua trasformazione e dove si vivono vite virtuali credendole vere, il suo The Life aggiunge un tassello mancante, e cioè quello del virtuale impalpabile in uno spazio fisico. Questa possibile ubiquità la fa sentire immortale? Are you feeling immortal, Marina? Probably.
Wow, can you answer this? I'm thinking.
So my grandmother used to say that so long as someone was thinking of her, she would never die. And I would say that so long as we can feel the energy of a human being, there is a kind of immortality to that. I think we're getting closer to you being around forever, but not close enough.
But another thing about this soul work, which really interesting aspect, which we don't think about, is so democratic, because with this device, I can appear in your kitchen, I can appear in your garden, I can be anywhere, I can be sit on your bed, And you have me in so many different ways that doesn't need to be gallery space, doesn't need to be, the exhibition space in any possible way, or museum. So kind of democratic way that you can actually have an artist as you want. And actually this artist, when he's not there anymore, is immortal in a sense. So I'm feeling really good that I made that piece.
Do you know that?
For future.
And she's not kidding. I once wanted to see what would happen, so I had a device with me, and I actually watched the piece on a plane over the Atlantic to see if I could.
That question is not bad. Marina ha fatto del suo corpo un soggetto di arte e performance artistiche già molti anni prima che i corpi venissero esibiti, liberati e resi protagonisti. Ora che questo è accaduto e continua ad accadere, che futuro immagina per i corpi del futuro?
To me, performance is something I dedicate all my life. And really is important now, transmission of your knowledge to younger generation. So I invent something called reperformance. And the people of my generation think that I'm crazy, that I should never give my work to anybody else. But I don't believe that. I think it's really important to be generous. It's very important that other people have experience through the work and learn something. So young people can reperform my work. And then, this way, a part of the ritual way can also exist in future. And to me, also is important to make my institute, when I give young generation possibility to understand what is performance, why this art form is important, why we have to preserve it, and how we can actually, what we can learn from it. So I also understand that it's not just enough to teach young artists to understand what is performance, but you also have to teach the public how to actually see something, what is long durational. Where are your mind when you enter the space and absolutely nothing is happening? The performance with long durational is very little happen. It's all about energy and being in presence, in place, here and now. And to learn this, you have to understand where is your breathing, how you deal with the space you're entering, and so on and so on. A lot to learn. So I put my life into this whole kind of transmission of that knowledge to others. Okay, now can we ask something, Todd? Why have to talk all the time?
Okay, but that question could be for
I will
both,
answer this one. And then,
because it was for Marina, but we can replay.
okay.
in
No, I answer this.
Because
Do you overcome
It's a
fear of
good
life?
question.
yeah, Marina e Todd.
No.
No, this is just Marina.
Come vinci la paura? In che modo permetti a questa emozione di lasciarti attraversare per poi andarsene? We don't know if she did, no.
That's so easy. Kids, first of all, when you're afraid of something, then you do it. And then you're not afraid anymore. But you have to confront with your own fear, because we always easily like to choose things that we like to do. And we do that all the time. You're never moving forward. You're doing the same shit over and over again, and again the same mistake, making it. But you do something that you're afraid. You go to territory you've never been. You really risk things. Then something new open, something like a kind of destiny happen, and then everything is different. So this is emotions you have to kind of look into it, and then you find yourself that you pass obstacles that you're not afraid of anymore, not of pain, not of suffering, and so on. It's a great feeling. And what I do in my life, I stage this kind of stuff in the front of you as audience, and audience is my mirror. So if I can do through this, and I give you really inspiration, then you can do this with your own life. And this is all what I'm doing, actually, trying to lift human spirit in the best possible way. Now,
Marina, I couldn't change the list of the questions. No, also because we have that kind of, and we need to follow the... So, quali sono le esperienze spirituali che ti hanno permesso di espandere i tuoi limiti? That's so nice. It's also a question for both of us.
Well, so I'm not sure why I can't do something that isn't really hard. It seems as if I get very obsessive about making things that are pure or authentic or human or whatever. And since none of it's been made before, we have to invent it all. And so when you go to see one of these pieces, there's no software that you can buy to do the post-production. There's no off-the-shelf anything that you can use to make this stuff. We had to create it all. You should bring up Rothko. She's brought up Rothko. I think for anything that you do, there's something that kind of spurs you on, and these experiences are the things that kind of push you into making something, even if it's next to impossible. And when we made The Life, it was next to impossible, since nobody had ever done it. And I think it's that idea of is the truth of the experience, the truth of the connection between you, the audience, and Marina, is that worth it? And if you think it is, then it doesn't matter what you have to do to create something to bring you all together.
Oh, let me give you just one example. There are many in my life, but this is the one that I think one of the most difficult thing I've done in my life was definitely Artist is Present, because it was 3 months, it was 8 hours a day, sitting motionless, without never standing from the chair, never going to the bathroom, never drinking the water, absolutely nothing. And the Friday was 10 hours, 2 hours extra. So, what was so difficult about it? It looks so easy, you're just sitting on the chair. But first of all, I made the chair without any how you call this? Arms, because I want to have something simple, something very aesthetic and something monastic. After first day, already second day, I realized I made a huge mistake, because it's crucial to have the arms. Because when you have the arms, you can at least invisibly lift yourself and put your ribs more up. But when you don't have the arms, you know, after hours and hours, your entire body is sinking down, and your ribs are touching the stomach, and then your spine, and the pain is unbearable. And I remember in the beginning how it was really horrible, that actually I was thinking I'm going to faint. Because, you know, if you just try to sit 3 hours and never move, and then see what happened. It will happen already difficulty with 1 hour. But then when you go 3, 4, 5, around 7 hours, the pain is so terrible, because your whole body is in cramp. But you have decision, like I done, and my willpower is kind of strong. And also, this performance, Artist is Present, I made when I was 65 years old, because I could never make this when I was young. I didn't have the willpower, I didn't have concentration, I didn't have this kind of determination at all. You don't have this. You need wisdom of old age to do this work. So the pain was terrible. And then what I understood, you know, the pain was going, and I was saying, okay, I'm going to lose consciousness now, because I can't deal with this anymore. And I still don't want to move. And then I say to myself, only when you go to that point, really pushing to the limit, and say, okay, so what? Lose consciousness. When I said this to myself, but I was really on the end, entire pain magically disappeared. Absolutely was gone. There was nothing there. I could not believe to understand that. And then some kind of knowledge from outside, almost coming from the, from the kind of spirit world, came to me that I understood incredible secret that actually there's so much space inside the body that you can move without moving. There is a space between ribs, there is space between liver and kidneys and heart and lungs, that actually all this space is space to move. When you move that space inside, you actually never need to move. And you understand that actually the pain is illusion. Then you understand the pain and you push the pain to the point, the pain just decide, okay, she's not reacting, there's no pain anymore. This was a big, big understanding and freedom of the pain.
Last question, l'ultima domanda. Qual è stata la performance più significativa della tua carriera e in che modo ha influenzato la tua visione dell'arte e della vita?
I just told you. No, the only thing I have to say, when I stood up after 715 hours performing, in that moment in MoMA, I was 70,000 people. In the moment when I stood up from the chair, because every day could be the last, it was so difficult. When I stood up from this chair, I knew only one thing, that public is my work, that my institute to create my foundation is where I have to go and to do things now. This was so clear in my mind that actually giving unconditional love to the public is the only way for forwards. I never understood in the time before doing performance that every single person in front of me, without knowing who it is or ever seen in the life, I create this moment of unconditional love to the pure stranger. And that unconditional love is total opening of the heart. When you experience this, you know that you have to continue, and there's no any other way. Unconditional love is the only way to art. Thank you.
Yes. Io lo d'accordo, sì.
Thank you. Oh, this is one dog. Thank you. Thank you.
Come dice Marina sempre, l'esperienza della performance, l'essenza della performance è che il pubblico e i performer realizzino l'opera insieme. Mi sembra che anche questa sera la magia sia avvenuta, quindi vi ringraziamo tantissimo, ringraziamo ancora Marina e Todd per le belle emozioni che ci hanno regalato, per l'emozione di The Life al Centro Arti Visive e Pescheria, e colgo l'occasione per dirvi che a grandissima richiesta The Life si potrà visitare fino a domenica 23 giugno, quindi siamo contenti di continuare ad avere Marina con noi ancora per qualche tempo e forse ti richiamiamo sul palco per farci un ultimo saluto. Vediamo se ritornano. Marina. Vediamo se c'è. No? Non arriva? La vediamo, eh? Arriva? No, niente. Ci ha salutati. Buona serata a tutti e seguite sempre con affetto Pesaro 24. Grazie, grazie a tutti. Buonasera. Evviva! Grazie, grazie.